Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Today, we're going to be looking at Matthew chapter 6.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorites.
It's chock full of teachings on giving and prayer and trust.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think is so cool about it is it manages to kind of weave this deep spiritual wisdom with just really practical life advice.
Yeah, it's like a guidebook
Yeah,
for how to live a good life,
totally.
regardless of whether you're religious or not.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's like they knew we'd be stressing about Instagram likes back then,
Right.
thousands of years ago.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's just jump right in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Starting with giving,
Okay.
verses 1 through 4.
All right.
It's all about this idea of giving without needing to broadcast it to the world.
Yeah. You don't need a trumpet fanfare.
No, you don't need a trumpet fanfare.
Right.
It's like the kind of giving that's almost invisible.
Just quiet acts of service.
Yeah. Have you ever done something nice for someone
Oh, all the time.
and felt that warm glow inside even though nobody else knew about it?
It's the best feeling.
It's the best.
Isn't it?
It's so much more satisfying, I think, than
Than getting likes on social media.
oh my gosh, yes.
Right.
Totally.
It's about the genuine act of giving.
Yes. And it doesn't even have to be about money.
No, it could be offering a helping hand,
Totally.
sharing knowledge, just being kind
Yeah.
without expecting anything in return.
Like that time I helped my neighbor fix their leaky faucet.
There you go.
I'm no plumber.
But you tried.
But it just felt good to offer some practical help.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
small acts can make a big difference.
They really can.
Okay. So moving on to verses 5 through 8,
Right.
things get a little more introspective here.
Okay.
Jesus talks about prayer, but not the kind where you're showing off in front of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
He uses this phrase, vain repetitions.
I always think of that phrase.
It's all about being mindful, right?
Right.
It's about having a real heart-to-heart with whatever, higher power you connect with.
Or even just with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just about rattling off memorized words.
It's like the difference between mindlessly scrolling through social media
Yes.
and having a real conversation with a friend.
100%.
You're present. You're sincere.
Yeah.
You're truly connecting
It's so true.
with something bigger than yourself.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of powerful prayers, we can't skip over the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, of course.
Verses 9 through 13. This one's pretty iconic, right?
It really is.
I feel like everyone kind of knows it.
It's a blueprint
Yeah.
for a good life.
Totally.
It starts with recognizing something greater than ourselves.
Okay.
Then it's about surrendering our own will
Mm-hmm.
to something bigger,
Okay.
acknowledging our needs, asking for forgiveness,
Yeah.
and seeking guidance.
To navigate the tough stuff.
Yeah, the messy stuff of life.
And isn't it interesting how those themes kind of pop up
They do.
in so many different spiritual and philosophical traditions?
All over the world.
It's like this universal recipe.
It is.
For a meaningful life. Even if you don't subscribe to any particular religion,
Absolutely.
it's just good life advice.
It's the human experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so if we're thinking of the Lord's Prayer as a recipe,
I like that.
what ingredients stand out to you as the most essential?
I think forgiveness, verses 14 and 15,
Powerful.
it's like a direct link between forgiveness and inner peace.
It's true.
You know?
Holding on to grudges, it's just heavy.
It weighs you down.
Yeah.
But forgiveness,
When it's hard,
even when it's hard,
can be so freeing.
it is.
It's not about condoning bad behavior,
Yes.
but it's about releasing ourselves from that burden
of anger
of anger and resentment.
and resentment.
There's even studies that
Right.
show forgiveness has all these psychological benefits
For everyone.
for the forgiver and the forgiven.
Exactly.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
So have you ever experienced this kind of transformative power of forgiveness in your own life?
Oh, yeah.
Like a time when you either offered or received forgiveness that really impacted you?
Oh, absolutely. There have been times when offering forgiveness felt so difficult,
Yeah.
almost impossible.
Right.
But I found that in those moments, if I could just focus on my own need for peace
Yeah.
and release,
Mhm.
that helped me let go of the anger and resentment.
That's a powerful reminder.
Yeah,
Sometimes forgiveness is more about freeing ourselves than it is about the other person.
it really is.
Okay, so moving on from the heavy stuff,
Okay.
verses 19 through 21,
All right.
talk about treasures.
Oh, treasures.
but not the kind you find in like a bank vault.
No, not diamonds and gold.
Not primes and gold, no.
Right.
It's about recognizing the difference between like earthly possessions
Mm-hmm.
and those treasures that really matter. Like the things that enrich our hearts and souls and minds.
The things that thieves can't steal and moths can't destroy.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
That's good.
Things like love, connection, purpose, knowledge.
It's like that saying, you can't take it with you when you go.
Exactly.
So in a world that's constantly telling us to like buy more, achieve more,
More.
it's such a powerful reminder
It is.
to ask ourselves what truly brings us joy and fulfillment.
What really matters.
Yeah. So what would you say are some of those like non-material treasures in your own life?
Oh, for me, it's the simple things,
Yeah.
Spending time with loved ones, connecting with nature, learning something new, creating something beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Those are the things that bring me like a deep sense of satisfaction and purpose.
I think a lot of us get caught up in the pursuit of material wealth,
It's easy to do.
and we forget about those like simple yet profound joys.
Absolutely.
But these verses remind us that true wealth lies in cultivating those inner riches that nobody can take away from us.
They can't.
Okay, now shifting gears to the last section,
Okay.
verses 25 through 34, address something I think we can all relate to,
Uh-oh, what's that?
anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus tells us to basically like chill out
Just relax.
and trust that things will work out.
Let go.
He uses this imagery of birds being fed and lilies being clothed
Such beautiful imagery.
to illustrate this point.
It's about trusting in a higher power
Right.
or a larger benevolent force in the universe
Yeah.
to provide for our needs.
It's like he's saying, look around, even the birds and the flowers are taken care of.
They're doing our
You're going to be okay.
Right.
And this message feels especially relevant today,
It does.
in a world that's full of like uncertainty
Mm-hmm.
and constant pressure.
Yeah, to achieve and produce.
Totally.
Yeah,
So how can we apply this idea of trust and surrender
that's the question.
in our own lives?
It's a good one.
Are there any practical tips we can take away from these verses?
Oh, absolutely. Like
Okay.
mindfulness practices,
Like what?
meditation or spending time in nature.
Okay.
Those can be so grounding. They
Mhm.
help us connect with that sense of peace and stillness
Yeah.
that transcends our worries.
It's like that feeling you get when you like look up at a starry night sky.
Oh, yeah.
You realize how vast and mysterious the universe truly is.
And how small our problems are.
Yeah.
Right.
Suddenly our problems can seem so small in comparison.
It's all about remembering that we're part of something bigger
Yes.
than ourselves.
So as we've journeyed through these teachings in Matthew 6,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything that has particularly resonated with you?
Like any wisdom that you're finding yourself drawn to. It's funny. I find myself coming back to that idea of giving without seeking recognition.
Yeah.
Such a simple concept, but it's so profound.
It is.
It's a reminder that true generosity is about the act itself,
Hmm.
not about the accolades or the recognition we might receive.
It's like the difference between doing something out of ego
Right.
and doing something out of love.
Absolutely. And when we can tap into that genuine desire to give
Yeah.
without expecting anything in return,
Mm-hmm.
it's so liberating.
It really is. It's a beautiful takeaway from this deep dive.
Yeah.
It seems like these teachings in Matthew 6, while deeply spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
are also incredibly practical.
Very much so.
They offer a guide for living a more balanced,
Yeah.
meaningful life,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're not particularly religious.
Absolutely. From cultivating generosity to practicing mindful prayer,
Totally.
embracing forgiveness,
Yes?
learning to trust in something bigger than ourselves.
So for you.
These teachings offer timeless wisdom
Yeah.
that's as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago.
So as we kind of wrap up our exploration, Matthew 6,
Mhm.
was there a particular verse that resonated with you?
Oh, let me think.
Something you might want to like carry with you into the
Yeah.
week ahead?
It's that reminder to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness,
Oh.
and all these things shall be added to you.
Powerful.
It's a reminder to prioritize the things that truly matter.
Yeah.
Love, compassion, connection, purpose, and to trust that everything else will fall into place.
That's beautiful.
It is.
It's like a reminder to focus on what truly nourishes our souls.
Exactly. And when we do that, when we align ourselves with those higher values, everything else becomes a little bit easier, a little bit brighter.
Well said.
Thank you.
And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Matthew 6.
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey.
We hope you found some nuggets of wisdom to take with you.
We always do.
Yeah, the conversation doesn't have to end here.
That's right.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep seeking those truths that resonate with your own unique journey.
And until next time,
Keep diving deep.
keep diving deep.